everybody, welcome back. This is a requested video all about makeup brushes, and yeah, let's get started. There's a lot of brushes on the market and it can be really confusing. Don't worry, at the end of the video I'll go over some different price points and where you can get what I think is a basic set that you can kind of get away with for personal use, and how you can save money on brushes. So yeah, let's get started. I'm going to start with foundation brushes because, you know, it's foundation and that's where we all start, right? There's a couple of different kinds of foundation brushes that I like, and let's start with this one. This is just a flat foundation brush. It's going to be synthetic, which means it will not suck in too much, absorb too much cream product. So you don't wind up wasting a lot of product, and they're generally soft, and you just use them like this. I tend to go down when I use a flat foundation brush because you get more control over the product and you get less streaking that way. But that's a pretty good option. It's a basic option. Most makeup artists will have one of these in their kit. For most people though, I usually suggest what I call a skunk brush or a dual fiber brush, and this is a small one, which I really like the small ones because I can have more control over what I'm doing. But when you're using a dual fiber skunk brush, something like this, they're really good for stippling your foundation in, and we'll go over that when I do the foundation video. It just gives a much better coverage. It gives more of an airbrush look, especially if you have something like pores or you have flaking, and I have terrible flaking on my skin, so this is something that I have to do when I put liquid foundation on. Stippling your foundation is going to give you more of a better coverage, and it's not going to rough up the flakiness on your skin, and it's going to help conceal your pores better. So you're going to want to consider this as probably your best option if you're not 20. Yeah. So another popular foundation brush, and I really like it. I like it mostly for powdered mineral foundation, would be a domed, dense brush like this. It's very soft, and it's very good for really buffing foundation into your skin. Some people, especially if you're younger and you don't have pore problems or flaking problems on your skin, can get away with using this for a liquid or a cream foundation, but not all of us, and I certainly can't. I need to use my skunk brush or a sponge to apply my foundation that way. But this is a really nice brush, and I really like it, especially for younger people or for mineral foundations. And I'll give you some options at the end of the video and down in the description bar about where to purchase them and what you can expect to spend on something like that. When you're done with your foundation, the next step, and I always tell people to do this after your foundation, would be to apply concealer. Color correcting, if you have spots, red spots, sallowness, whatever, or dark circles under the skin, you're going to want to use a color corrector and then a concealer, but you're going to need a concealer brush for that. And concealer brushes are basically mini flat foundation brushes, only a little bit firmer. And they are for concealer. That's what they're for. They're for packing on the color of your concealer and blending it into your skin. These are Echo tools, and they're my favorites, and this is my pro kit. These are in my pro kit. This is what I use when I go on set. So Echo tools you can find at drugstores, so that's a really good option. In the same vein as cream or liquid brushes is going to be my lip brushes and my body painting brushes, and they look like this, and they are also synthetic. This would be my lip brush, and it just gives you more control over applying your lip products. If I'm working on a model, I won't use the bullet right on their, the lipstick bullet right on their lips, because I have to use that same lipstick on somebody else. And quite often my lipstick have been depotted and put into palettes, so I don't actually carry bullets with me when I'm working. But a lip brush is also good for everyday use, for your personal kit, because it gives you a little bit more control over the line of your lipstick. It's more precise, and it gives you better coverage than just applying the bullet. I tend to get I have little lips, so if I use the bullet, I tend to get lipstick all over my face, so I like to use a lip brush for that. Plus, a lot of companies, makeup cosmetic companies now are coming out with cream lip colors, and I really don't like the doe foot applicator that comes with some of those. And also there's several companies that put their cream lip products out in just tubes, and they don't have an applicator. So you're really going to want to consider getting yourself a decent lip brush. This happens to be one of my favorite ones, and I believe it's from Royal Langnickel, which I will again put in the description bar for you. This would be a good lip brush as well because it's the same concept. It's long and firm, and it's kind of oval at the tip, so you can get around the lip line. But this is one of my body painting brushes, and this is what those look like. And again, they're just for cream colors and for applying color on different parts of the body and face, so that I don't waste product. My natural bristle brushes, they tend to be more for powders because you don't have to worry about them absorbing color or product as much. And you kind of want them to pick up a lot of color. You don't really want that with your cream products. Let's move on to eye brushes, and I have a couple of different kinds of eye brushes here, from those that I use to pack on shadow and those that I use for lining and sort of details and drawing with. Let me show you a detail brush first. This would be a detail brush. It's small, and it's meant for literally details, either using your shadow as a liner so you can get a more precise application of color, or for a look where you're just going to have a lot of different colors on the eye, and you really just want to be able to be precise where you're putting your color. You're going to want a small detail brush like this. So it's sort of dense and soft, and just will pack color into really small spaces. For packing color just all over the lid, I tend to use a flat shadow brush like this, and this one is synthetic, but they're not all synthetic. Sometimes they're going to be natural bristle brushes, and you can go either way. If you are concerned about, animal hair or whatever, there's lots of options on the market for synthetic brushes that don't have to deal with animals or cruelty to animals or using animal hair or whatever. MAC does them. Pretty much every brush company on the planet does a densely packed flat bristle brush. I also keep on hand a version that I got from Michael's where they keep their artist brushes. It's exactly the same brush. You can't even tell the difference. They feel exactly the same. They work exactly the same. This one is a fraction of the price. So don't feel like you have to go and spend $30 on a makeup brush. You just don't. You can get a good copy at either the drugstore or at your craft store or whatever. Especially, something like this, you don't really need an expensive brush to do that kind of work with. After you've packed on your color, you are going to want to blend the edges, and that's another video we'll be doing at another time, how to blend, because that was another question that I've had. So you're going to want a soft, sort of a domed brush to accomplish that. I tend to use these as much for applying color, these particular brushes, as I do for blending, but I always have a clean one for blending and one for applying as well in my hand when I'm working, so I'll often work like this. Again, these are, you can get one of these is from Sigma, the other one would be from MAC. They're exactly the same brush. Almost every makeup brush company does one just exactly like this at every price point. And again, I'll cover that at the end of the video for you. For specifically blending purposes, for either blending out highlights at the eye or blending out the color, when you have several colors on your eye and you want to soften the edges, you're going to want a very soft blending brush. And there's a lot of options on the market for that. I tend to like to keep my very soft blending brushes a different color than my regular application brushes, because it's a visual thing for me, and I can see exactly what I'm reaching for when I go to reach for a blending brush. So these are just 3 different style blending brushes. This one's more of a pointed blender, and it's really good for blending color out under the eye as well as in the socket or at the corner of the eye. It's just, I really like the shape of it, especially for under the eye. If you're doing a smoky eye, it's really soft, and that pointed edge gets right under the eye really well without muddying up the color. This one is pretty much the same concept, only it's a little bit fuller at the tip, and this one is as well fuller at the tip, so this is more for the top of the eye or the top of the cheek for blending out highlights or whatever. So that's what those are. Those are blending brushes for blending color, eye color, cheek color, whatever. And still working on the eye, I have a couple of different kinds of eyeliner and eyebrow brushes here. For eyebrows, I tend to use a angled brush like this. It's just the easiest thing for me to use. You can also use your detail brush for your eyebrows. So I had to restart the camera. I don't know what the setting is, but I have to fix that. So talking about eyebrow brushes, you can use your detail brush for an eyebrow brush. I don't see a reason why not. It's not something I do. It's just not intuitive for me. I tend to use an angled brush for my eyebrows. You can also use, and I like angled brushes for eyeliner, especially for beginners who are just starting out with cream eyeliners or cake eyeliners, because it just gives you more control. So this particular angle brush is an eyebrow brush. It's a little thicker. If you're going to use an angle brush for eyeliner, I would suggest you getting a little bit of a finer brush for that. One of my favorite beginner eyeliner brushes would be an angled pointed eyeliner brush like this. The angle just helps you get in around the eye easier, and you can see what you're doing because you don't have anything in your way. So I really like these angle brushes for cat eyes, for liquid or cream eyeliners. That's probably one of my favorite brushes for home use, personal use, your personal kit for eyeliners. And last but not least, we're going to talk about face brushes. Face brushes tend to be one of the most confusing brushes for people, and I don't know why, because you can pretty much use your face brushes for whatever you feel comfortable using them for. You can find face brushes this big. This is a big flat powder brush. I've seen them even bigger than this. I use this one just for packing on face powder. When I'm done with the face and I'm powdering down with the setting powder, I will just pack the color on this way, or the powder on this way, and then it's so soft you can just kind of lightly sweep off excess that way. So I tend to only keep 1 or 2 brushes like this in my personal kit. This would be the same use, but more for dusting on a face powder than for packing, just because of its shape. But I try to keep my face brushes really soft because it's on your face, you want it soft. Here's another version of a powder brush. I really like this one for pretty much the same thing, just for brushing on powder. This is also not a bad size for blush. For contouring and highlighting, I tend to keep a smaller brush, about this size. You can also find them in angles for getting into for contouring under the cheekbone. I don't need those, so I don't tend to keep any on hand. They just are a waste of space in my kit, really, because I won't use it. I use these small brushes for highlighting on the cheekbone and for contouring under the cheekbone. So for a basic kit, just for home use, I would say you probably want 1 or 2 face brushes. I would get a big soft face brush, and I would get one that you want to use for highlighting, contouring, and blush. You can use the same brush for all 3 things. Just wipe your brush off, wipe the color off your brush in between. And then a big powder brush, whether you opt for a big flat fluffy brush or a big round fluffy brush, totally up to you and what you're comfortable with. So I would pick a foundation brush. For most people, I would tell them to get a flat top skunk dual fiber brush because you can not only stipple, but you can also blend this way with it. A nice soft flat top brush for that. You're going to want a concealer brush. You're going to want probably a fluffy blending brush and a flat shadow brush for packing on color, and an eyeliner brush. And really for home use, I would tell you to get the angled brush. That would probably be the one I would suggest. So really, for most people, this would be the setup that I would suggest you get. Oops, dropping brushes. This would be the setup I would suggest you get, just to start with. And you can always add or subtract brushes as you go along if you don't particularly like the shape of this one and you want to try a flat paddle brush or whatever. Brushes can get really expensive, and you really don't need everything that's out there. You really don't. I don't need everything that's out there. I probably use maybe a third of what I have, what I even take with me in this kit at a time when I'm working. And certainly when you're just sitting down to do your own makeup at home, you don't need necessarily need all of these brushes. But so those are your brush options, and I'll put some links in the description bar below for some good places to purchase brushes. Some companies put out neat little kits that I would say would be probably pretty good for beginners or people just wanting a basic set of brushes at home. Also, you can go to Target. Sonia Kashuk puts out a really good line of brushes that I've never had a problem with. And like I said earlier in the video, Eco Tools does them at CVS, I believe, if not Ulta as well. So that's a good drugstore brand, as well as Sonia Kashuk. For my Pro Kit brushes, I use Delum Tools, Royal Langnickel. I have a couple of MAC brushes. I also use Sigma. And the price point on those is everywhere from maybe $4 or $5 all the way up to $30, $40. I think I have one $80 brush that I never use. So yeah, I like to collect brushes. I don't necessarily need to use all of them. So if you have any questions, if you have any, if you want me to go into more detail about any of these brushes that I've shown you, or a brush that you've seen, or one that you'd like more information on, message me, leave me a comment below. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, share the video with your friends. It's free, it's easy, and it's fun. And yeah, keep in touch and let me know what you think.